I remember Tampa, the way she used to be, the places we would run to, the faces we would see. Yes, I remember Tampa, her sweet, soft memories, a city rising on the move, a simple yet progressive groove. Yes, I remember Tampa, she remembers me.
Welcome to the Tampa Native Show. Stay tuned now for the most entertaining 60 minutes from the studios at TBCN, Tampa Bay Community Network. Join your hosts, Mario Nunez and Steve Canella, as they celebrate growing up in Tampa. From Shock Armstrong to Shakey's Pizza, from Braddock Street to Buffalo Avenue, get ready to call in and tell us your stories, because sharing your memories has never been this much fun. And now, Mario Nunez and Steve Canella. Thank you, everybody. Welcome back to this Season 2, Show number 4 of the Tampa Native Show, live from the studios at TBCN. I'm one of your two co-hosts. My name is Mario Nunez, and I'm sitting alongside...
I'm Steve Canella.
Tampa Steve, better known as Tampa Steve, and we just like to say we're excited to be back with you. The fourth show of our new season. Take a moment early on in the show and say we'd like to welcome those of you new for the first time that are watching the show. We'll tell you a little bit more about our show as we progress, but we'd like to say, Steve, we're picking up viewers each and every week at exponential rates.
We are, aren't we, though? I mean, we had a couple more today.
Well, we're getting phone calls, we're getting emails. It's terribly exciting from where we sit to know that people are finding us. And to our new viewers, we say thank you. To those of you that are out there watching on the web, thank you as well. Steve, give them the email address so that they can kind of start to prepare to send in their messages and their stories.
Well, definitely you want to email us at show@tampanatives.com. That's show@tampanatives.com. Send us your emails, and when you do, share your stories. We'll try to read them on the air here. And also include your Lucky Bolita drawing number as well.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Steve.
Yeah. And also,
one other thing.
That's right.
We started a new contest last week. We have several sponsors. Thank goodness. We have several sponsors that have joined us here at the Tampa Native Show. If you're unfamiliar with the sponsors, we encourage you to go to tampanativeshow.com. A list of our sponsors is there. Send us along with your Lucky Bolita number. The sponsor of the week you think will be, when the 15-minute girl shows up later in the show, she's going to have an article with her from one of our sponsors. If you guess the correct sponsor, you'll win said article. What do you think about that, Steve?
I think that's great.
I think it's pretty good, too.
Absolutely.
Listen, we'd like to say a quick shout out and thank you to all of those that showed up last week at our Panorama Bowling event. We had an incredible good time, and I tell you what, we have some pretty serious bowlers in our midst. We should mention Mr. Ben Crumpton rolled a high game of 223. Attaboy, Ben. Mr. Gary Ippolito, once again proving that you can't use knee surgery anymore, Gary, as an excuse, because Gary was there giving us all lessons. We should notable was Susan Jones Trask. And what did Susan do? Suzanne, excuse me.
Well, you know what? She actually bowled better than me.
Well, and not only that, but she was the only girl of all the Tampa natives that decided that she wanted to bowl that day and competed with the guys. So hats off to Suzanne. Also, video evidence of all of these shenanigans is available to you on that social networking site. So if you'd like to see what went on that day, and you want to see Ben rolling, and you want to see Gary, myself, Steve, check that out. We encourage you to do so. What else you got there, Steve?
We've got a lot of video clips of that bowling event. Fun time, by the way. Yes, we got a note for Bank Smith. Bank Smith called in last week during our Disco 70s show, and he won the Tampa Natives limited edition mug. So Bank Smith, we need your address, your mailing address, that is, so we can send you your Bolita winnings, which is the cup that Mario just drank out of.
Absolutely, that exact cup.
So we need
Banks, if you're out there in South Carolina, that was a pretty cool call we got from South Carolina last week.
Fantastic.
Also, we'd like to say that yesterday, the 15-minute girl and myself met some very nice people. We had a little business meeting with George and Joanne, and we'd like to say thank you so much for your time, your valuable time, which you took with us. That was very enlightening, and it was a pleasure, absolute pleasure meeting you. Also to Ed and Mary Bergen, a great big thank you as well. You know, we've got new sponsors joining us each and every week, and that is as exciting as it gets from where Steve and I sit, because it's our sponsors that keep us viable. It's our sponsors that keep us on the air and allow us to provide you with better and better content every week. Your love for the show and your donations are vital. Now, without sounding too much like a telethon, thank you to Fran Costantino and Frank Cueto. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And to all our sponsors, we really appreciate your support. And without you, we couldn't be doing this. So thank you very much. And Mario mentioned a second ago that we're getting new sponsors and new viewers every week. And this week is no exception. We have Robert and Joe Messina will be watching the show tonight along with their families. So I think we see them out there right now. So thanks for tuning in, guys.
Hey, Robert.
And,
hey, Joe.
Yeah, I want to give a quick shout out to Andy Callahan. He was gracious enough to let us use a lot of his photos that you'll see tonight on the show, on the backdrop here. And thanks to him, we're able to produce those and let you see him. Now, just if you need to contact him on that social networking site, the one that you can click the like button, and that's where you can find him. His name is Andy Callahan. Thanks, Andy.
Thank you, Andy. Now, what we typically do at this time of the show is we go back because as the show progresses, we're getting emails in real time. Sometimes we don't have a chance to go over all of them, but we definitely want to pay tribute to those fans that took the time to write in. So we go back and we review the emails, we bring them up, we read them to you at the top of the show each and every week, and that's what we're going to do now. And if you recall last week's theme, you see the backdrop behind us there, was those fabulous nightclubs and dance clubs of the 1970s. Stevie? Why don't you give people a little taste of what they missed last week?
Here's what everybody missed last week. We had a good time.
Sometimes I think I'm going insane. Still I wanna say you're wrong.
How you sitting still with that music going, Stevie? I don't understand it.
Well, we're not to the hook yet.
Oh, here comes the hook, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, I danced last week, don't you remember?
Yes, you did. Well, that's just a little bit of what you might have missed last week. And of course, you missed Staying Alive and Night Fever, too. It was pretty outstanding. And a 15-minute More Than a Woman
Oh, and
was
for all
here as
those
well.
for all those who missed the show last week, that was a shame.
Ah, you guys.
Where's the bell? Okay.
Listen, hit that bell, honey. Hit that bell. There it is. There it is. Well, listen, it is online. The show is online, and it's available for reviewing. So also, we like to remind our viewers now, we'll remind you at the end of the show, that each and every Tuesday, show broadcast live on Thursdays, and on Tuesdays, Stevie, what happens on Tuesdays?
Well, it's the replay on Tuesdays, and that you can go to tampanativeshow.com and look at all the details as far as the times, dates, channels, everything. So Tampa Natives, that's the Tampa Natives plural, tampanativeshow.com, okay? Thank you very much.
Let's go ahead and put on the glasses
Let's do
now
that.
because
There
it's
we go.
critical to be able to see these emails. We're going to start off by reading one that we got from Fran Costantino. Franny writes, I recognize most of these night spots, but when things got too hot and our fans who numbered in the hundreds, some of Las Chicas went across the bay to the quarterdeck lounge. And then we danced in the glass elevator at the Glass Frog and the Holiday Inn on the beach and at the Thunderbird. Those were the days, my friends. Keep up the good work, you wild and crazy guys. And hugs to the 15-minute girl. Keep on dancing. Her guest last week was La Segunda Central. Her bolita number was 67. And at this point, we need to say, mea culpa, Franny, because you know what? Last week, Staying Alive didn't get to your email, and you actually won the cup, which we delivered in person to you yesterday. So we had two winners last week. One on the air, Banks Smith from South Carolina, and Franny won as well. Who else wrote to us?
Okay, well, I want to make a quick statement here. Jeff, if you're listening, we have some incoming emails saying that we're getting a different show on the intro here. So if you can kind of take a look at that, let us know. And let me put my ear this back on here. Anyway, let's go ahead and continue reading the emails.
Second email?
Second email. This is from Angelo Ramori. During the 70s, I was too busy trying to earn a living as a manufacturer's rep to bebop around town. But when my boss in Orlando came to Tampa, he always wanted to go out to eat at Cafe Pepe's on Kennedy Boulevard and then go have a drink at the Huddle on Del Rey, which is now the Mons Venus.
The Huddle Lounge. Wow, that brings back some memories there. Nobody mentioned that last
Cafe
week.
Pepe, too.
Yeah, the Huddle Lounge, which at one point I believe was managed by Tampa football great and former NFL notable Rick Caceres.
Oh, I didn't
so
know
maybe
that.
somebody out there might know how we can get Rick on the show, because if you can contact Rick for us, tell him we'd love to have him on the show and talk about football growing up in Tampa in the 40s and 50s.
Absolutely.
Also, Mike Baluha writes, don't forget the ABC lounges. My personal favorite was the one on Kennedy. Started and sometimes ended many a reckless night at that one. Bolita number 57, sponsor Columbia Peace. That's from Mike Baluha.
This is from one of our loyal viewers, Alan Antonori and Dori Riquelme. Hunts Park near Tampa International Airport. The Foxhole on Armenia. My number 40 is my lucky number, and sponsor guest is Brocados.
All right. That was from last week.
It
And
sure
one
was.
more, Mike McCall.
We have one more.
Give us Mike's email as well.
This is from Micah. He says, great look, guys. Love the show. I must admit, my favorite part about the disco era is that it's long gone. Tomorrow's a mystery and today's a gift.
Hey,
Thanks,
Mikey,
Mike.
that's not nice.
I know. That was a good time.
Yeah, it was a great time.
had a great
and
time.
for those of us that survived the 70s, and many of us did, we had a great time. Thanks for your emails, everybody. That's what we do. We read your emails, so if we don't get to them in real time this week on the show, be sure and watch our show next week, because we're definitely going to read them at the top of the show. Now, we get to the part of the show which is current. And this week's topic, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see behind us there, our producer Jeff Haynes is on the ball, on the money. You can see that's a Cash and Carry logo, ladies and gentlemen. A logo that's near and dear to many of our hearts. Well, quite possibly because most of us got our first jobs at Cash and Carry. There you go. Look, we've become small guys all of a sudden. Look at us. We're little guys. But this week's topic is your first job. And what we typically do before we start the show is Steve and I will give our account of the topic of the week. And then we're going to read some emails. You want to do that? Want to do it that way?
Let's
Steve?
do it that
You
way.
want to read the emails first? What do you want to do?
Let's do the emails first.
Emails
Let's get
first.
them out of the
See,
way.
sometimes even on live TV, Stevie and I will make that decision on the fly. I like it, Steve. Let's go with that.
We'll
Why don't
warm
you
them up that way.
Yeah. Why don't you take the first one?
Okay, this is from Todd Whitney. He writes, my dad owned and operated Protection Dogs Incorporated back in Tampa in 1968. I worked for him back in the late 70s. He was 5th generation and I was 6th generation. Can you believe that?
Wow.
The address was 9301 North 29th Street. I remember that location, by the way. Right next to Bruce B. Downs, a.k.a. 30th Street, next door to Busch Gardens. And you know what? I remember driving by there on the way to work.
Sure.
And I remember looking at all the Doberman Pinschers and the
German Shepherds, no?
and German Shepherds and a lot of Dobermans too.
Right.
And it was during that era when the Doberman Gang movies were on. Remember that?
Oh, I sure do, of
So
course.
it's always kind of like kind of scary driving by there, you know. But definitely thank you, Todd, for that email. Appreciate that.
Dobermans could be scary.
Oh yeah.
Jim Hooper writes, I can send you a pic of the Tribune building when it was new across from the University of Tampa. The offices of the Palmacia McDill News are something else now. Do you want my old photos from the sports column that I used to write as a young teen? Unsure whether I want to show that for the hundreds of thousands of viewers. And then he puts a little winky face there. And I don't know what that winky face indicates, Jim, but yes, we do have, in fact, hundreds of thousands of viewers. That was Jim's first job as a 12, 13-year-old. I don't even think you can classify him as a Cub reporter back then. But he covered our games at North Palomino Pony League, and thanks so much for doing that, Jim.
This is from Cheryl Noda Smith, and she writes, I worked in the upper level at some store. It was next to the open air stairs. It was like a Walgreens or a Makeup or a Cost Plus, and this was at Tampa Bay Center. And Cheryl, thanks for that statement there. We appreciate that.
Joseph Abini writes, my first job back in 1967 was at Peninsula Lumber at their truss plant. I was hired as a junior draftsman while attending University of South Florida. The truss plant was on 50th Street off of East Hillsborough Avenue. My very first job was as a professional baseball player, Penn Lumber during the off season. That's from our dear friend Joe Abini.
Chip Revels writes, Honeywell Data Processing on Franklin Street. I love the fried chicken, and I think it was the Crest building.
At the Crest building. Rita Salter DeHart writes, my first job in Tampa, other than odd jobs, was at Tampa Electric.
Elizabeth Fairweather, she writes, Tampa Bay Mall. I had to hang the stars from the rafters to make Santa Claus house at Christmas time. There was a Mickey Mouse Club also.
Mercida Risky Ramos, waitress at Steak and Shake across from Plant High School. I bet you there were a lot of people that did that.
Oh, I'm sure. And this is from Marlene Maceda Lee, and she writes, she was a hostess at Sweden House.
Valerie Powell writes, my first job was at the Tampa Tribune. I was 15 years old. I started October 3rd, 1979, and she remembers that day.
This is from Dottie Campbell. Cash and Carry. I worked at the store on the corner of Florida and Waters Avenue. Started out as a cashier, then moved to the dairy, meat, and finally, pharmacy department.
Rosemarie Durant says, my first job was at the movie theater at East Lake Mall, 1975 through 1977. It was great. Free movies. My parents liked it too. My number is 51. We should make a note of that. That's for this week. Great job to you all, the 15-minute girl also. Thanks, Rosemarie Durant.
And this is from Donna McClellan Washburn. She writes, my first job, Hutto's Corner, 10 years through 17 years old. Fond memories of Hutto's. Sad to see the empty corner now.
Wow, that was a big Hutto's corner, absolutely.
Icon.
Ricky Parnell, our Brazilian correspondent, writes, my first job was at the Cash and Carry. Look at that logo there. Cash and Carry that burned down on Buffalo and Florida Avenue. As an 11-year-old bag boy, which begs the question, 11 years old, Ricky, what were you doing?
Yeah.
I made $1 an hour, plus tips. I also did some stocking. This was a summer job that I resigned because of, well, you guessed it, to play baseball in the City of Tampa Recreation Department League. Mr. Miranda was the manager and was really nice, but a strict man. $1 back in those days, $1 an hour bought a few baseball cards, which were Mickey Mantle, Willie Mays, and Sandy Koufax. And of course, they promptly ended up in the spokes of his bicycle. Attaboy, Ricky.
This is from Casey Powell. He writes, fried chicken at Chicken Unlimited on the corner of West Shore and Euclid. Think I got paid like $1.65 an hour, but I made up for my lack of pay and the quantity of food I ate.
The Honorable D. Almeida Pomponio writes, I was a student assistant at HCC.
And Michael White, he writes, parked cars at Holiday Dinner Theater owned by the Barkeys on Rocky Point. Tips only, but it was great being 16 and driving some really hot cars in 1969. I also got to take my dates to shows for free.
Rick Bowman writes, my day at the gym after work, and he puts a frowny face like that. And Dan Perez, our archivist and one of our historians, writes, Stephen Mario, standard sales was my first real job. The summer before I took it, I had worked for my brother-in-law in his cabinet fixture shop, sweeping the sawdust and keeping the hardware room tidy. I actually worked part-time also as a cashier for records by the old cash and carry wards on some weekends while working at Standard Sales. At Standard Sales, I worked in the audio camera department under the supervision of department manager Joe Antonori. Other co-workers were Sybil Athey, Scott Costin, Gary Rivera, and Diana Mayer. I'd be interested in knowing if any of my co-workers are listening to this show and would appreciate it if you mentioned their names, and Danny, I just did. Listen, thank you all for sending in those wonderful, wonderful accounts of your first jobs. Steve and I are going to, well, we've got a caller already. Steve and I are going to tell you real quickly should we do that real quick, Steve?
Sure, let's do
All right,
that.
let's do that. Stevie, go first.
Okay, definitely.
Don't be too long because we got a caller.
Yeah, definitely. Well, anyway, speaking of cash and carry, that was my first job in Tampa. And there's, back in the 70s, most of the jobs that people took were grocery stores, restaurants, and there was Winn-Dixie, Pantry Pride, Quick Check, B&B, You Save. Cash and carry was a big employer, and had a lot of stores. Anyway, my first job, loved it. I was in high school, and this is back in 1976, 1977, when the Greco family and the Junta family owned Cash and Carry. And anyway, like I said, they're a huge employer, so big that they had numbers. Each store was numbered. Mine was also number 27 on Florida and Waters, and you had locations like there was one by the river on Hillsborough. There was Florida and Waters, Florida and Buffalo. There was also one on Howard and Kennedy, and they were everywhere. But anyway, the funny thing about the job is how I got the job. And you know how I got the job, Mario?
Tell us how you got the job,
All right,
Steve.
here we go.
I know, but I know our fans want to know too.
Well, what happened was, I came home one day, and again, I was in high school, and my father said, you're starting work Monday morning at Cash and Carry on Florida and Waters, and be there at 7 o'clock in the morning, wear blue pants, a white shirt, and a tie. And I said, well, I don't really remember applying for the job, but he said, well, you got it, so you're going to be there at 7 o'clock in the morning, don't be late. So he went on his own and got the job for me, and had no idea that was going to happen. But it turned out to be a great experience. I met a lot of nice people that, I think Dottie Campbell, we mentioned her name earlier.
Sure.
I believe I worked with her, and Dottie Campbell, if you're watching the show, please call in and confirm that, because I think I remember working with you. I'm not 100% sure, though. What did you do, Mario?
Well, my first paying gig was my 8th and 9th grade years. I took a week off during spring break to go up to Tallahassee. My mother at the time was the legal assistant and ran the office, I guess you could say, for Senator Louis Delaparte at the time. So I took a week off from school, which was very cool, to go up to Tallahassee to be a page in the Florida State Senate. I got my first taste for politics then, and it was pretty heady stuff and a lot of fun. That was my first paying gig. But my first paying gig in the city of Tampa was summer my sophomore year, and I had the occasion, again through a good friend of the family's, to go to work at the Hillsborough County School textbook depository for Mr. Benny Martinez. Now, there were other people that worked there at that school book depository. My brother Chick Nunez worked there, a gentleman by the name of Cookie Espinosa, a lady by the name of Sue Smith, older gentleman by the name of Jerry Perdomo, Charlie Perdomo's father, and two neighborhood buddies, Joey Highstrom and Ricky Padron. But that was a great job too, because it was hard work, it was hot, we got paid, which was the best part of it, and we worked for Benny, and Benny was a great boss, to be honest with you, and he's a great friend, and I think he might even be watching this show now. So Benny, we hope you're feeling better, and keep watching. Well, those are our accounts. We lost our one caller that we had. They're going to call back. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your chance. Stevie, give them that number.
That number is 977-6800, 977-6800. So please call in. Tell us your first job story. And Mario, how many? Yeah, go ahead. Let's get that call.
Let's do that right away.
Caller, you're on the air. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Pat Rio.
Who is caller? Can you say your name again?
Pat Rio.
Oh, Patty Rio.
Oh,
Hi,
hi.
Pat Rio. Hi. How are you?
I'm good.
Well, Patty, you're our
Yeah.
first caller of the night. Patty, why don't you go ahead and tell the audience where you're calling from? Tell us your first job and tell us all about yourself.
Yeah.
Well, my first job was at Wilco as a bagger.
Oh,
Wilco.
I remember that store.
The department store.
Yes.
And then after I graduated, I went to work at that insurance company on Boy Scout Boulevard.
Okay, we know that one.
And I've been there since. And I remember my mom taking me after I graduated over to that insurance company and said, hey, you know, I went in there and started working.
That insurance company that shall remain nameless. However, their logo happens to be a Snoopy dog, I think.
Exactly.
And you've been there ever since.
I think I know which one that is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Now, I know there's going to be some callers out there that are going to call us and tell us that they're still at their first job. And I personally, I have it on good personal account, a couple of people that are still at their first job.
That's rare.
So maybe they'll be calling in and hopefully they will. Patty, what's your Lucky Bolita drawing number?
13.
Lucky
13.
13. And do
Wow.
you have a sponsor in mind that you want to go with today?
I'm going to go with Columbia.
Very
Okay.
good. Thank
Okay.
you, Patty, so much for your call.
Thank you.
One of
Thank
our
you,
favorite
Patty.
callers. Thank you, Patty Rio.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You know, Mario, every week we get a lucky 13 draw.
And Patty, and if Patty's in there first, she's always giving us that lucky 13.
Let's grab that call. Go ahead.
Caller, you're on the air. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Tony Gonzalez.
Hey,
Hey,
Tony Gonzalez.
How you doing, bud?
We're
Thanks for
doing
calling.
great. Thank you.
Hey, listen, I'd say my first job was non-paying. I had to work for my father delivering bread.
Okay, that's not bad.
Well, yeah, it was.
Okay, sorry, Tony.
Then when I say delivering bread, I was a runner. We used to deliver from house to house,
Okay.
newspapers. But my real paying job, I worked for my godfather at Demi's Market in the store.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
I remember. Yeah, Demi's. Okay.
Yeah, Demi's. And then I went from Demi's. My second job was I worked for the police department, and then I went in the Army.
Excellent. And about what year would you say that you started working delivering bread with your pop?
Oh, hell, I was about 7 years old when I started doing that.
Wow.
That's,
Yeah.
wow.
Well, you know what? That's what 7-year-olds do, man. Whatever their father says for them to
Yeah.
do.
Exactly.
Yeah, but when I went to work for my godfather, I was about 14, and then I stayed on there, and I worked until I was about, I think, 19.
Well, that's good. That's good. You know, those experiences help us. They teach us things like, you know, getting up out of bed, being responsible, you know.
Yeah.
Discipline.
Discipline, yeah, of
Right.
course. Discipline, how to manage your money a little bit when you're young, you know. So all good experiences. Oh, yeah, what's your lucky number?
31,
So that's just 13 in reverse. And do you have a sponsor in mind that hasn't already been called out?
Ricardo's.
Okay. Brocados it is. If I'm not mistaken, I think you went with Brocados last week also.
Yeah,
Tony.
that's my favorite place, really.
Good for you, Tony. Hey, thanks for calling. We appreciate
Yeah,
it.
that's good.
Alrighty.
That's great.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, Tony.
Bye-bye. Let's get right away.
There we go. Caller, you're on the air. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Charlotte Palmer.
Hey, Charlotte. We haven't heard from you in a bit, but we're
That's
so
right.
happy to hear from
Thank
you
you.
tonight.
Yes, my first job was at Cook's Department Store on 50th Street.
Oh, yes. There was one on Florida and Waters next to Cash and Carry, too. You remember that?
This was like 1976,
Yeah. That's, yeah, right about the same time.
in between high school and college.
Excellent.
And worked for an assisted living facility years ago at Riverview Terrace.
Cooks?
Sorry, Riverview Manor. And I worked both places, and then I had a friend that used to hang out with a band and would chase all night, hanging out with the band too, and then college started, and that just put a damper on things.
Well, as college will do. You know, but then again, some of us go away to college. I didn't, but some of us do, and the party continues, if you know what I'm saying.
USF, and you still kind of went away to college mentally.
Right, because at the time USF was, you know, still a little bit on the outskirts.
it was
You know,
out
there was no
there,
New
yeah.
Tampa or anything. And USF was a much smaller campus back then.
Yeah, well, I drove from Riverview on 301. This is before they had 75. That was a whole other.
Exactly. Charlotte, thank you so much. Listen, you
Yeah.
got to give us your lucky number.
14.
Okay,
14,
14.
oh.
Okay.
Closest
Wilson
without going
Traub
over.
picked
And the sponsor of the week for Charlotte Palmer is?
La Segunda Central, or has that already been?
No, you got it, baby. You know that the good news about calling in early on the show is you get first dibs on the sponsors.
Right.
So you know, La Segunda Central is all yours.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
being a good fan.
Okay, oh, by the way, if you do the bars again, you remember the Motherlode?
Remember the Mother Lode?
I remember the name.
Tell
but
me
I
the
don't-
location.
Yeah,
Where
I
was the
don't remember
location?
where it was.
Kind of sort of kind of catty corner from the dog track on Nebraska.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
Nebraska and Bird,
Okay.
right in that area, right?
Yeah.
Okay, the Mother Lode. Thank you for
Yeah.
that. We may do another show on that because, to be honest,
It
with
was
you,
so popular.
At
It
the
was.
end of the show, we were just building momentum. The call kept coming. The callers kept coming. So we may end up doing another show.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Charlotte.
Thanks again.
Bye bye. Stevie, let's keep rolling.
This is caller. You're on the air. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Hi, this is Jim from the Palm Scene McDill News, covering Mario Nunez's Little
hey,
League
Jim.
career.
This is Jim Hooper. Hey, Jim, how are you?
Thanks for
How
calling.
you doing, Senor?
We already know that it's Palmacia News, so I'm just going to go ahead and write that in. I don't even need to ask you that.
Palm Scene McDill News, and I was literally, the office was a house, and then when they sold the newspaper, they made it an office at El Prado and Clark.
Okay.
And then I went to the Tribune on the river when I was a junior in high school.
Was that any one of those? Did you ride your bike there? Because nobody was driving when we were 12 or 13. Did your mom drive you over there? It was close to your house, wasn't it?
Well, I was a newspaper carrier first, and then I started writing the column when y'all were at North Palomino.
Sure.
And I forget exactly how I got my actual stories to the family that ran it out of their house. Mom and Dad probably drove me over to the little office of the people
To drop off your stories.
Paper after that. And I wrote the stories at my home. And I wrote them out in longhand and typed them up on forms and then turned it in. And it came out, it was a preview. It was thrown on the yard every week. Policy at McDill News. Trying to cover the exploits of the famous Major League shortstop that never happened.
Well, he should have been a second baseman. He was too small to play short. But anyway, and as a matter of fact, my first year there, I did play a lot of second base. We had a shortstop already that was 14 that was a year ahead of me. So
Hey, were you playing second base or trying to get to second base? I'm sorry.
there you go. There you go. Well, we're on a 7-second delay here, Jimmy. I can just cut you off if I need to.
You could.
Hey, buddy, what's your lucky number?
Lucky number is 58. It's a good
50.
number for me and you as well.
58, very good. And your sponsor of the week?
Well, in honor of the class of '76, the Tiny Tap.
Very good.
Perfect.
Tiny Tap. Thanks so much, Jim. We appreciate you being there for us, Bubba.
Yeah, thanks, Jim.
Adios, guys. You guys done a great job.
We'll see
Thank
you
you.
soon. Thank you.
Bye.
Do we have any emails we can go to real quick?
Not yet, actually. So
Okay, well, then keep rolling because the calls keep coming.
they're pouring in. Caller, you're on the air. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
My name is Jackie Garfolo.
Hey, Jackie, thanks
Hey,
for calling.
Jackie, that's a first-time caller, is it
Yeah.
not?
Yes, it is.
Okay, we could tell.
What was the last name, Jackie?
Garfolo.
Thank you.
And tell us about your first job in Tampa.
Well, it's going to be a short story.
Okay.
All right, here we
All
go.
right.
I started when I was 16 years old at GTE Federal Credit Union,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
and that was August 31st, 1964, and I'm still there.
Yeah,
Wow.
it is. There's
There-
our first
there-
caller.
yeah.
There's our first hit the bell, honey.
What did she win?
Listen, we knew we were going to get one. I thought it might be Michael Brocato because I saw him yesterday as well, or day before yesterday, and of course he started working at the restaurant with his pop, and he's been there ever since.
forever.
But how's it going for you, Jackie?
It's going great.
Yeah, you must be senior management by now.
No.
Well, that's still rare, though, that you would be that long. You know, that's great.
64.
Yeah.
What is that? That's
46 years.
I was going to
Wow.
say that's almost 50 years. Oh yeah,
That's-
is the gold watch coming anytime soon?
I sure hope so, and I hope to make it to retirement.
Okay, okay. Well, we want you to
We
make
do
it there
too.
too, and
We do
quickly,
too.
because you've already put in your time. Any quick stories that you can relate? The funniest thing that ever happened to you when you saw somebody fall down or drop a tray in the lunchroom, or
No funny stories.
no funny stories?
Lots of history.
Oh, I'm sure.
Well, Jackie, give us your lucky Bolita drawing number.
17.
Oh, that's a great number. That's my favorite number. And do you have a sponsor of the week in mind?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Red Wagon Landscaping and Maintenance.
Well, somebody
there you
knows
go.
about the Red Wagon
Okay.
landscaping, and somebody's been to our website too.
Yes, I have.
That's Mr. Isaac. Thank you so much. Listen, we appreciate our first-time callers. We appreciate
Yes.
all of our callers, but our first-time callers get us excited because, we know that you're out there. It's just we got to get you to get involved and get that phone call going. So thank you, Jackie.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks,
Call
Jackie.
anytime.
All right, I'm noticing it. Every caller has already visited the site and they had a
That's
sponsor in
wonderful.
mind.
We haven't
that's
had a
great.
duplicated sponsor yet.
No, they're all watching. That's
Stevie,
great.
take this one.
Caller, you're on the air. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
My name's Teresa Longo, and I'm calling from Orlando.
Teresa.
Teresa, how are you doing?
Hi, Teresa Longo. We spoke today on the phone. I'm so glad you got through because, listen, the callers are coming hot and heavy.
Are you guys taking your first job?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we are talking first jobs today, and I know. Listen, you had mentioned to me that you were going to try to go over to that cyber cafe and log on and watch the show. Were you able to do that?
No, I wasn't.
So you're just on the phone with us right now?
Correct.
No worries. Listen, tell us, I know the story. Tell our viewers that are out there watching and listening, tell them about your interesting first job.
Okay. My first job was, my father ran the Britain Theater.
The Britain Theater.
Oh, wow.
I don't say my T's right. Brickton
There
Theater.
you go.
Starting in '68, and it was when it was in a triplex, about 2,000 seats. And I worked there as a concession stand girl. I had to work under another Social Security number because family wasn't supposed to.
Yeah, those nepotism rules were pretty strong back then, weren't they?
Anyway, it became kind of popular at school because then everyone wanted a job at the theater. So a bunch of kids from high school were ushers and worked in the concession stand, and we used to sit and watch Young Frankenstein, and we knew all the words by heart. And when they did make it into a triplex, there was a secret door upstairs where you could go from through the projection booth, from one theater through the projection booth to the other theater.
How cool was
That's
that?
nice.
Anyway, I spent a lot of nights there with my dad. He would go back to work around 7, and I would just hang out. If I wasn't working there, I'd hang and watch every movie that played there for whatever.
For years. And for those that don't know that your day job involves being in the business, being in show business.
Yeah, I guess it just kind of.
It gravitated towards that. Maybe we talked about this the other day. Maybe your early experiences in the theater, seeing all those big movie stars, may have had something to influence you and had to do with it. I know I would have done. That would have been my reality. I mean, I would have wanted to try to figure out how to somehow get on that screen with those people. Either that, or I just would have bloated up from eating all that popcorn. I'm not sure which would have happened first.
Yeah, I mean, at the time, I didn't think I wanted to have anything to do with what my dad did, but
Sure.
yeah, ends up that I'm an editor on features, so.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. There's a little serendipity at work there. Hey, Teresa, while you're on the phone with us still, give us your lucky lotto drawing number, bolita number.
Oh, how many numbers is it?
1 through 75, darling.
Just one number?
Just one. Any one between 1 and 75.
Right.
How about 75?
Okay, closest to without going over. Somebody knows how to play this game.
Exactly.
Somebody knows how to play this game.
We had a little problem with that
And if
before.
you haven't been to our website, we encourage you to do so because we were going to ask you for one of our sponsors' names, but you may not know all of our sponsors, so you're at a little bit of a disadvantage. But hey, the 75 may win, and if you do win, you'll win one of these cups that I'm holding up on camera that you can't see. But we will promise to ship it to you if you do win, darling. So thank you so much for calling.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Teresa. Take
Thank you.
care.
Thanks, Teresa.
Bye-bye.
Mario, that's another employer was the movie theaters.
Oh, yeah,
It was the
absolutely.
restaurants, the grocery stores.
And Teresa failed to mention this, but the theaters back then were huge and humongous. She was telling me today that theater, the Britain, for those of you that don't know, 2,200 seats with an upper balcony. 2,200 people watching one movie.
Cool,
and if
cool.
it was a comedy, that's a lot of people laughing at one time.
Mark, we got
Caller,
it.
we see you there. Stand
Yes,
by.
yes, stand by, please, caller. And this is from the high bowler.
Put your glasses
Ben,
on.
Ben Crumpton.
Oh, go on,
Yeah.
Benny. Go on with your high-rolling self.
Here he goes. Hey guys, it's Ben Crumpton. My first job was at the Shea and Prang Pharmacy at Florida and Florabraska. I was about 13, I think, in 1973, and I made $1.65 an hour. I delivered prescriptions on my bicycle, and if you can believe that, the pharmacy had a liquor store in one half and a pharmacy with a lunch counter on the other side. In addition to delivering prescriptions, I also had to clean the lunch counter, but then I also got to make my own milkshakes as well. Enjoying the show, let's go with Bolita number 47
Okay, there's Ben.
for John Lynch and the Colonnade for sponsors. See you guys around. And Ben, thanks again for coming out to the bowling event. We're glad we had you out there. And turns out I went to high school with Ben.
Ben's a hell of a bowler.
Yeah, I didn't know him in high school, but I met him the other day. It was great.
Absolutely. Hey, we got two callers on the air.
Let's go. Go ahead. Caller, you're on the air. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Hey, I'm Oli Gonzalez.
Oli, how are you?
Oli Gonzalez. Hi, Oli.
I think I got to turn this.
Yes,
Turn
please
the TV
do.
off.
Please
No
do.
worries. Yeah, take a second, turn that down so that it won't throw you off.
All right, let's start over.
Okay.
Caller, you're on the air. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
I'm calling from Tampa.
All right. And this is Ole Gonzalez. Ole, what was your first job?
My first job was at Cash and Carry. I was a bag boy in 1970. The one on Del Mabry, right next to the interstate. Remember behind Ward's there?
Right next to Monkey Ward's, between Monkey Ward's and Eckerd Drugs.
We had a picture of that a second ago. Monkey Ward's.
Absolutely. That was, that was where my family shopped every Saturday.
Me too.
And my one of my managers was Cyril Ramirez. I don't know if you guys remember
the
him.
name?
Yeah, the name sounds vaguely familiar. Oh, yeah.
Ole.
What was your job there, Ole?
I was a bag boy.
Ole.
Settle a controversy for me and Steve, Ole. Settle a controversy for me and Steve. When you walked in, immediately to your right, there were the big bins, correct? Where you put the Coca-Cola bottles to get your deposit back, right?
Right.
Okay, and then you go, you walk in, and it was a big thing when you were a little kid. You show the lady, okay, look, I got 2 6-packs. She'd register that, then you go put the bottles in there, and you come back and she give you the money, correct?
Right.
Okay, now that's good. We agree on that, Stevie.
Okay.
What Stevie didn't remember, and I think I remember, was back in the right corner of the store, kind of going towards the back corner on the right aisle, there was a little snack bar where you could buy like a hot dog. You know the hot dogs that used to roll around, those metal roller things? They sell you a little glass of Coca-Cola. Ollie, did I dream this up?
No.
It was there?
You're right.
Oh, there you go. And in the back corner, watch, the far left corner of the store, there was a Coke machine. And I only remember that because every once in a while when Coca-Cola would have a promotion where you would have to get the Coke bottle caps and scrape off the bottle caps and then collect them all and win a set of NFL football helmets, that's where the machine was. And if you happened to be lucky on the day that the Coke man was there delivering, he'd give you all the caps. Right or wrong?
Yeah, you and how about the RC Cola show?
Yes.
You could use a cap
To go to the movies.
Right.
RC Cola.
And they were cork inside the cap.
That's when Tampa was Tampa, Ollie. Don't kid yourself.
Ollie, I have a question for you too. Cash and Carry, do you remember the store number that you worked at?
Number 10.
See, remember everybody?
Everybody remembers their
And
store number.
I knew we were going to get more Cash and Carry callers calling tonight. I just knew it, and I knew they would all remember the store number because it was a big thing. You know, we were numbered by numbers, not by location, just numbers.
Yeah,
so
there was was Pantry Pride. There was a B&B. We had the B&B's. There's always been Publix. There's what was the other stores?
Quick Check, Pantry
Check,
Pride, Winn-Dixie.
Winn-Dixie. Thank you, Stevie. Thank you. So but our default store in our family, Ollie, was Cash and Carry. So I mean, that's where we went. We had one on West Shore there, West Shore and Kennedy, but for some reason we went to the one that was by Monkey Ward's. I say Monkey Ward's because that's how Willa called it. She didn't say Montgomery.
We used to go hang out at the Tampa Bowling Center right down the street from there.
Around the corner across the street was Del Mabry Lanes, and then around the corner before it burned down was I think it was called Tampa Bowling
Lanes.
Center. Yeah,
Tampa Bowling
Lanes,
Center.
right? That's right.
The bowling center.
Tampa Bowling Center.
Ole, one more quick question, if you don't mind.
Henry Ruiz used to hang out there.
We know.
Oh,
who
yeah,
he
yeah,
is. That's
yeah.
right. He's a good friend of ours too.
Ole, do you remember the guy that used to sell devil crabs off of his bicycle?
Yes.
Remember El Chinito?
Empanadas too. You remember
Empanadas,
the old man used to sell empanadas in the Ford, Ford Fairlane?
Yes.
Right outside the Cash and Carry. Remember that?
Terrific
great
memories.
memories.
Oh, yeah, before we let you go, what's your lucky winning number?
28.
28.
Okay.
And do you have a sponsor in mind? Sponsor of the week?
The sponsor.
Do you know our sponsors?
No.
Okay, well listen, your homework assignment for next week is to go to our website, which is
TampaNativesShow.com.
Well, I heard you Segunda Central. I frequent there.
that was already picked. So next week, when you call in and tell us your story next week, you'll know who our sponsors are, and hopefully you'll get a chance to win one of the sponsor gifts. Thank you, Ollie, very much. We appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. We got a bell on Ollie because he went a little long.
He did.
15-minute girl. She's running a tight ship today.
Caller, you're on the air. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
I'm Bruce from South Tampa.
Oh, hey, Bruce.
Oh, there's Bruce.
Okay, we know you.
What's a week without Bruce's call? Nothing.
Nothing.
What's going on, Bruce?
I have a two-part story that's kind of humorous.
Oh, yeah, as long as you keep it under 3 minutes because the 15-minute girl's going to ring a bell on you and then you got to go. Go ahead.
Okay. First job, Winn-Dixie or Quick Check at Beta Bay at MacDill.
Okay.
A friend of mine got me the job. He went to plant. His name was Bruce as well.
All right.
First day, we're in the back room doing the bottles, and the manager comes back and thought he was a bad influence on me, and he fired him on the spot.
Oh, no.
Wow.
Fast forward 5 years, I was going to USF. I hooked up with Bruce again. He told me he's working at the Safari restaurant as a waiter. I should come up there and apply for a job because it's good tips. I said, I'm a klutz. I can't wait tables. He goes, just tell me you worked at another restaurant up north. They won't check it out. You'll go to work. So this is back in the hippie days. I didn't have a white shirt. So we worked on alternate days. So when he got off work, he brought me his white shirt with his name tag that said Bruce,
Oh, no.
with spaghetti stains on it.
Nice. Nice.
Him, and we'd alternate like that. So one day, I put the shirt on, it was dirty, and the sleeves were rolled up to the elbows. I go to work, and the manager says, roll down your sleeves. I told the other Bruce last night when he left to roll down the sleeves.
That's a good story.
That's amazing. That is amazing. You guys, how long did you play that game, man?
I didn't last too long as a waiter. That wasn't my career work.
I got you.
But
I got you. No, and apparently from the pictures that we saw of you last week, your wardrobe, you upgraded your wardrobe quite a bit too, right?
yeah, I had a good week.
Oh yeah, tell us your lucky Bolita drawing number.
19.
19, and do you have, that was your number last week as well, and do you have a sponsor in mind, a sponsor of the week?
Well, it's either going to be the Colonnade or Tiny Tap.
You know what, both of those have
Yep.
been taken. Do you
Yep.
know another one of our sponsors that you might like to guess?
Another homework assignment.
Okay, so we're going to give
Yep.
you the same homework assignment we just gave Oli a minute ago. Go to TampaNativeShow.com and look on the right side there. All of our sponsors are listed, so next week when you call in, you'll have a sponsor.
Maybe write them
name
down,
ready.
too.
Okay, guys.
Thank you,
Thanks-
brother.
thanks,
for
Bruce.
calling, Bruce.
Boy, the calls are...
Wonderful. This
This
is
is
a wonderful
great.
pace. We love this.
This is a hot topic. Caller, you're on the air. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
This is Betty Allen.
Oh,
Hey,
Betty.
we haven't
Hi,
heard from
Betty.
you in a while.
I've been watching y'all.
How's
Good.
Walt? How's Walt?
He's fine. He's right here.
Hey, Walt.
Hi, Walt. Well, tell her, listen,
Hey.
Betty, I know you started work a little while ago. Now, you're not working now, are you? You're all retired, aren't you?
Yeah, we're retired.
Okay.
I go way back.
That's what
Okay.
we were hoping you'd tell us. How far back, and tell us your first job.
W.T. Grant,
Oh, wow.
downtown on Franklin and Cass.
Of course.
The lunch counter.
It had wood floors in there,
Yep, yep.
and I worked on the sock counter.
Wow.
Everybody, each counter had their own register and everything.
Betty, can I ask a question about that store real quick?
Yeah.
What I remember about going there when I was just a little guy, little fella, riding the bus down there with my grandmother to go to the store, did they not have, in the tradition of the great stores up north, did they not have a bargain basement? Did they not have a big stairwell that went downstairs, or am I dreaming that?
That was Chris.
That was Crest? Okay,
okay.
thank you, Betty,
Yep.
for
And
straightening me.
Newberry's, I think, had one.
Thank you for straightening me up on that. I know they had the lunch counter. We talked about the lunch counter many times.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
wasn't sure which store it was that had the big, wide staircase that went downstairs, because that was a big tradition up north, you know, the bargain basement. So you went down to the basement
Yeah.
to you know, find all the bargains and the end runs and the closeouts. Any funny
That's right.
stories? Any funny stories, Betty, from back then?
Well-
Ever see anybody fall off a ladder or slip on a peanut or anything?
Banana peel.
I worked when you had to have a permit
Okay.
from the school board to work and let you work any place until you were 16.
Okay.
And I didn't have one. I was 14 at the time, and they wouldn't let me work. They fired me.
Oh.
Oh, Betty. Well, you know, listen, we're amazed and we marvel tonight at some of the stories because one of our dear friends, Ricky Parnell, who watches us from Brazil and writes to us every week, he said he started at Cash and Carry when he was 11. We had another story earlier, gentleman who said he started, I believe it was Ben Crumpton.
At 7.
Said he started delivering prescriptions on his bicycle at 13. I said Tony Gonzalez started work when he was 7. I'm thinking, what happened to the child labor laws back then, Betty?
That's right. And when they found out you weren't old enough,
They sent you home.
yep, they fired me.
Oh, no. Oh, boy.
Listen, do you have a favorite Lucky Bolita number that we can throw in the mix for you?
60 in honor of our 60th wedding anniversary.
When did that
Congratulations.
happen, or is it
Wow.
going to happen?
It's already happened.
Oh,
wow.
congratulations!
Congratulations,
to you
that's
and Walt
great.
both. That's wonderful. 60 years.
Yep,
And still smiling. Look at you.
that's right.
All right, the 15-minute girl sending some love over there with the bell. If you heard that, that's just congratulations from all of us.
Oh, how sweet. Tell her hello for us.
Okay,
Yeah,
we
you
will.
just did, Betty. Listen, are you familiar with our sponsors? Would you care to guess sponsor of the week?
Well, I was going to guess the Colonnade, but I think that's been taken.
has
It's been taken. So, Betty, you bone up on what our sponsors are, because early bird gets the worm here, but we still have some extra sponsors on that website. So see if you can get over there and check them out. We appreciate you calling.
Definitely.
Okay.
Good to hear from you.
Thanks, Betty. Great to hear from you. And
Now-
tell Walt we said hello.
Okay.
Thanks
Thank
a lot.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Look at that picture
Wow.
right there, real quick. Talk a little bit about that, because somebody somebody on the set here has some experience working there.
You know, that was me actually. I had a 17-year experience working at the brewery. And that was after my first job at Cash and Carry, of course. And I was 18 years old. I left first job and went to the brewery. Got lucky and got a job there and was there until it closed down in 95. And That was a big employer back then as well. Not
Tremendous
just
employer with the amount of people that had working at the brewery, and for the longest time, Tampa natives, true Tampa natives who were here back in the day, will remember that escalator, which was about 5 stories high,
right,
was for a period of time one of the big attractions in the area.
Yeah, it was like a big landmark.
Not only that, but it was like, wow, let's ride this escalator. How naive were we?
I know, and you had the seals on one side in the water. Right. In fact, there's a pool, I think a water pool, but right there now. I mean, that's it.
Take us out of the shot real quick, Jeff. I don't know if you can see a seal or something in the bottom there, but there's some shadows of something.
That might be
But that was the seal pool, was it not?
That was. And then later on it was something else, but it would start off with seals.
And at some points, that water didn't smell too good neither, I'll be honest.
You know, I remember that too.
Okay, well listen, right to the phone. We got two callers. Caller, you're on the air. Tell us your name, where you're calling. Caller.
We lost him.
Caller, you're on the air. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Mario, this is Isaac Gonzalez.
There he is. Somebody mentioned Red Wagon, and look at who raises his head there. Isaac, how are you, brother?
Good, buddy. How are you?
Great. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, I wanted to tell you about my first job. When I was in high school, as a senior in 1976, you remember?
Wait a minute. When who was in high school?
When I was in high school.
One more time.
When
we
okay.
graduated the same class, Isaac. I'm not going to let you get away with that.
All right, no problem.
Thank you.
I was going to tell you, you remember that we had the double session because Hillsborough High School being revamped, so they were using our school in the afternoon.
Seguro.
We had the morning session. We would start school at 7 in the morning. We would get off at 1 o'clock. I would run home, shower, shave, put on my whites, and go to work from 3 to 11 at Centro Asturiano Hospital in Ybor.
Oh, wow.
I was night orderly for the whole hospital. It depended on how busy we were. I might spend a routine night just passing juices to the patients and, making a bed change from here or there. But if it was a busy night, I was working, helping in the emergency room, helping in intensive care, doing whatever.
Wow.
And the ladies that worked there were superstitious. And if, the rare times that someone would pass away, they would want me to help get them ready because they didn't want to be in the rooms by themselves.
Because the fufugato was in the room. You know how that works.
Yeah.
And when you're 16, 17, and 18 years old, that's kind of...
And I was high school during the day and doing that kind of stuff at night.
Bro, who would have thought that? I've known you for a long time. I never would have thought that,
Yep, that was my first job almost all the way through graduation.
Wow, and you're no worse for wear as a result of having no nightmares because of that stuff?
I got a taste for it, and years later I worked as an EMT for Hillsborough County EMS.
You sure did.
Years after that.
You sure did. We talked about that. Listen, that's a fascinating story, man.
That is.
So you were almost putting in 40 hours a week our senior year?
I was putting in more than 40 hours a week.
Yeah. Wow. 40 hours a week was just
8-hour day if I didn't get into overtime, but I usually got into overtime.
Because you know what? You wanted the money.
I wanted the money. It was good, man. I was getting paid like almost $2 an hour.
As much as one of our parents, an adult.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Favorite Lucky Bolita drawing number?
Let's try number 58. That kind of has a ring to it.
You know what? 58 has already been taken by one Jim Hooper.
Well, then let's do 27.
27's available. 27. We have so many callers tonight. 27's available.
That's my old cash and carry number.
Isaac, thank you so much for calling. And watch your TV because somebody's coming in here you might recognize. Thank you.
All right, what a topic tonight.
And unbelievable. Unbelievable. Look who's here.
Look who it is. There's a 15-minute girl.
Hello, darling.
Hey.
Hello?
Well, listen, why don't we go ahead and do this real quick because tonight's this is the sponsor of the week drawing. And ladies and gentlemen, due to restrictions, policies, and procedures, we can't show you the logo. But you're going to have to trust us. I'm going to show Steve to show you that I'm not lying.
I'll verify
Stevie.
Okay, got it.
And the winner is, tell him.
The winner is? It's Brocado's Restaurant.
Brocado's Restaurant. And if I'm not mistaken, that would be Tony Gonzalez. Tony, you have won his and hers baseball caps. Very nice. Thank you.
Very sharp.
Tony for playing.
Yep, congratulations.
Picking Brocados. Also, thank you, Michael and Joe Brocado, for that lovely donation. 15-minute girl, which is almost down to 10-minute girl.
I'm on, yes.
Yeah, tell us your story.
Okay, my first job was over a summer, and I worked at Patricia Stevens as an elevator operator.
Wow.
Working the Otis elevator.
Oh,
and if somebody was not real nice that got on the elevator or had bad words for me, because it was a lot of girls my age, I would just make sure, and I got very adept at working the elevator, so I would make sure that they either had to step up or step down. So you had to be nice to me on the elevator.
Nice to the elevator
It was
operator.
actually fun, though. It was a fun job.
Did they
Didn't
give you a
last very
stool? Were
long.
you able to sit down every once in a while, or was it
Nope,
always standing?
I didn't have a stool.
Always standing.
Yeah.
And you had the inside door and then the
Yeah,
outside
and I
door?
had to punch a time clock and everything.
Remember the time clocks, Steve?
Oh yeah, the old
time clocks
right?
with the
Remember
card,
that?
with the punch card.
We had that at the brewery also.
So how much time do we have left, darling?
Not much. I think
know.
we're about down to 10 minutes.
Okay,
so.
well.
I'm the 10-minute girl. And I was just wondering if maybe I could have a raise in minutes?
Well, we'll discuss that, darling, at our next production meeting. In the meantime, go back there and ring that bell. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Oh gosh, we got about 8 minutes to go. Stevie, should we
Wow.
do the Bolita drawing?
Let's
real
do that
quick?
now while the
We do
calls are-
have-
yeah.
we do have some announcements to make.
We
as
sure
well.
do. We sure do.
Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that are hard by your phone and watching on TV,
And
we have plenty of numbers tonight, plenty of callers, all great callers.
There's-
Caller, we see you there, stand by.
yeah, stand by, please,
Look at that
caller.
picture behind us. That's.
Oh, look at
Can
that.
you go back to that picture just a second before Panstown? Jeff, that's West Shore Plaza.
Look at
For
all the stores.
Those of us that grew up near West Shore.
And how about the store in there, Farrell's Ice Cream? Remember
Look
that?
at the fountain in the middle. Farrell's, Woolworths had a counter as well.
S&S
counter.
S&S cafeteria.
Pennies on one end, Moss Brothers on the other, and that was all there was. It was that one wing. That's circa 1976, 77 right there.
What a great
Look
shot.
at that old trash can. All right, let me draw the number.
You draw it. I'll
No,
hold
you
it.
draw it. You draw it.
Here we go.
Come on, Stevie. Get in there. Pick a good one.
Okay, I
Pick
think
a good one.
here we go. This is it.
What do you got?
53.
Closest to without going over, so we're looking for the number closest to 53 without going
And it
over.
looks like-
Is that right? Am I right?
It looks like it's. Hang on, let me verify. No, nobody emailed. Let me make sure.
Make sure, because we don't want to drop the ball.
No, that happened last week with a friend.
Yep.
Okay, no, that's it.
Hit the bell, honey. Mr. Ben Crumpton.
Congratulations.
Ben,
Well, he's having a good week, isn't he?
Ben is literally on a roll. It started at Dinorama last weekend.
Bowling.
223 high game. Ben, you won a mug. So listen, give us a call. Thank you. Give us a call. My mic keeps slipping down. Give us a call, Ben, or actually send us an email, Ben. And with your, no, you know what, we'll just meet up with
Yeah,
you.
we'll do that.
We'll
We'll
send
do
you an
that.
email and we'll figure out a day and time when we can get together and we'll drop that mug off to you. We'll meet you at a coffee shop and we'll drop that
And
mug
we'll take
off.
some bowling lessons from you too.
Yeah, for crying out loud,
Oh,
Ben.
my gosh.
Thanks a lot. Listen, look at that picture.
Oh, how about that picture?
Look
Didn't
at
you?
that picture.
Didn't you do have?
I did.
I think you worked there, didn't you?
I worked. It wasn't
Okay.
my first job in Tampa, but one of my best jobs in Tampa ever. I spent 3 glorious years that we'll talk a little bit more about when we do our show on Highlight as
That's upcoming.
one of 2 ball boys that worked there. Johnny Rodriguez and myself. Johnny Rodriguez and myself worked there as a ball boy. And I tell you what, those were the 3 of the most exciting years because I got up close and personal lessons and got to see the likes of Bolivar and everybody play Aramayo and
All the stars.
Rufino and so on and so forth. So listen, those were some great years. Stevie, we got to get these
Got some housekeeping
announcements in.
here.
Yeah,
We sure
we
do.
got 6 minutes to go as the boss is telling us. So why don't we real quick, we did the Bolita drawing, we did our sponsor giveaway. Ladies and gentlemen, this is live TV. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Let me go ahead and give a shout out at this time to Mrs. Haynes. This would be Jeffrey Haynes' mom, who is a little under the weather and about to undergo a procedure. Mrs. Haynes, as always, thanks for letting your boy come out and play on Thursdays with us. And you get better. Speedy recovery to you. That's from all of us here at the Tampa Native Show. We're thinking about you. That's a 15-minute girl. She's letting you know she's thinking about
Okay.
you too. Also next Tuesday. What's happening next Tuesday, Stevie?
Well, we're meeting with our dear friend and avid Tampa Native Show fan, Joe Abini, who coaches the boys baseball team at Bayshore Christian School.
Yep.
He has a game next Tuesday, March 8th at 7 p.m. And we're actually going to be creating an event for him on that big social networking site. Details forthcoming.
Details forthcoming. Stand by for that. We want to get a little group together.
Yeah,
I think,
it's- yeah, I think-
Are you free next Tuesday?
Oh, I'm free.
I'm free next Tuesday.
Me too.
Let's go see Joe Abini because you know
let's
what?
do that.
He's a great guy and a great baseball coach. And I tell you what, anybody else wants to come along, they're welcome to do so.
Absolutely.
We got one more breaking news. One more breaking news story. My mic's okay. One more breaking news story. Arrangements
Yes.
are being finalized even as we speak for a luncheon date at the Colonnade Restaurant. So those of you that are out there, especially those of you that live in that South Tampa area, but you can come from wherever. Big Mike Padrina, you can come from Orlando if you want to.
Ricky Parnell.
We're going to get Ricky Parnell. Ricky.
Might be
thank
hard.
you. There's the look at that vintage photograph of the Colonnade, which of course has expanded greatly because those cars are in the probably early 50s, if not late 40s. But listen, we want to get as many people to that as well.
Absolutely.
So be on the lookout for that. The Colonnade Restaurant, they're going to roll out the red carpet for us. And thank you so much, Stacy, for your courtesy and your graciousness. We're going to have a luncheon set there. Okay. We got those two things. And I want to go see. Hey, Stevie, why don't you cue up that music just for all those people who have been working and tirelessly working and underappreciated. You know which song I'm thinking
I know
about?
which one. I think I know.
Give a listen.
Should be queuing up here any second here.
Mm-hmm. Take this job and shove it. I ain't working here no more.
How about that?
A woman done left and took all the reason I was working for.
There you go.
You better not try to stand in my way as I'm walking out the door. Take this job and shove it. I ain't working here no more.
Thank you,
There we
Steve,
go.
for that. And that's
There
for
we
all
go.
you people out there that are just tired of working. And I'm one of those myself. Boy, if I could just figure out a way to do this TV show full time with my buddy Steve and that sweet 15-minute girl, we take that job and shove it for sure. That picture there, real quick before we go off the air, we should talk about that picture.
Tampa Bay Center.
Oh my, what an incredible mall that was.
Who doesn't remember Tampa Bay Center? And the pet shop, the movie theater, Tampa Bay Cinema, the game
Bird
room.
Eyes on one end, was it Montgomery Ward's on the other?
I think it was Montgomery Ward's, and
Before
I think
it
it was
was
Sears,
right?
too.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that was an excellent mall. They had a
yeah.
place upstairs that sold Sicilian pizza, that big square
Oh, I remember
pizza
that. It was so good.
Oh.
And also they had the Shirt Shack, the men's room, those other places. What was another one? Shirt Shack. There was another.
National Shirt Shop?
No,
that was at West Shore. I believe National Shirt Shop was at
No, I
West
think it was
Shore.
called the men's room. That's what it was.
Yeah, they had
the
Chess
disco
King,
shirts.
Chess King,
Right.
and was Learners in there? Learners was at West Shore.
Yeah.
Merry-Go-Round. I'm just trying to
Colony
remember off
shops.
the top of my Colony Shops. Trying to remember off the top of my head all these different wonderful stores. But that mall, when it first opened up, was really hot.
And I'm sure a lot of Tampa natives had their first job experience.
Yeah,
over at
those
Tampa
are
Bay
indoor.
Center.
Remember, that was one of the first times that, trees, they actually planted live trees inside that were growing because the atrium was all lit with natural light. And of course, they were in the ground. Fascinating. And, it was a big mall. It was a pretty big mall. So how many of us didn't spend a lot of time there? They had the Brass Balloon there, so they had a little nightlife there. And they had the two or three theaters there that you can go watch movies at.
Yeah.
That was a fun mall. Sorry to see that one going. Of course, that's on the property right now that the Glazers own, which is where One Buccaneer Place is.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much to all of our callers tonight. To our sponsors. We'd love to hear from you guys out there. Now listen, if you have an idea for a show, write us. Stevie, what's that email address?
It's show@tampanatives.com. It's on the screen. It's show@tampanatives.com.
Also, if you go to tampanativesshow.com, which is a little different, tampanativesshow.com, you can see all of our sponsors. You can familiarize yourself. We'd like to hear from you guys out there. If you will send us an email, We'll get it up on that website because you know what? We have 3 or 4 kind of testimonials out there from our biggest fans now. We'd love to get a dozen of them or 20 of them.
And we're constantly updating that site too, so stay tuned, keep coming back to it and check it out.
Questions, comments, cheers or jeers.
Archive shows are on there as well.
Be sure that you communicate with us because we love our fans, we love our sponsors, and we want to hear from all of you.
Absolutely.
So we have 2 events coming up, the Joe Abini baseball event next Tuesday night, and upcoming just soon after that will be the Colonnade Luncheon. How much time, Jeffrey? 10 seconds. So
10 seconds.
For my good friend, Tampa Stevie Canella, I'm Mario Nunez, and as we say every week, Tampa, we love you. We'll see you here next week. Salud.
Salud and happy days.
And happy days. Thank you so much. Great show, brother.
That was fun.
Great show.
They're all fun.
And if we're still on the air, we'll go for some more. we don't mind.
We need another half hour, I think.
Back when we were younger and everything seemed new, we used to have a lot of fun, yes we did, no matter what we do. Sleeping days, long summer nights, going anywhere we pleased. This love I've always called my own, a love that I've always known. Yes, I remember Tampa. She remembers me.